All set, Supervisor.
Thank you. Councilman, you all set on the phone? Okay. Second session. Good. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Councilmember Jazinski, if you can lead us. I defer to you, sir. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. You may be seated. Welcome to the town board work session for Wednesday, June 26th. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Councilmember Barbara Bukowski,
Present.
Councilmember Michael Jazinski,
Here.
Councilmember Gerald Kaminsky is absent. Councilmember Brian Pilarski,
Present.
Councilmember Vernon Thompson,
Here.
and Supervisor Brian Nowak.
Present. We have 5 present. All right, this evening, we're starting with 2 items of new business. The first of which pertains to development at 3600 Harlem Road. We've got our town planner, Dan Young. If you can approach the podium and introduce this part of the work session.
Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session prior to Dan.
There's a motion to enter executive session.
For what purpose? We need a purpose?
To discuss employee relations.
Second.
Does it got spelled out a little more?
We need 4 votes to enter.
Yeah, I'll support.
No, we need a majority of the full board, which is 4 out of 7.
I'll support it.
Sure.
As long as it's worded correctly on what it is. So if you want to go tell the town attorney what it is, so we can get the proper wording on why we're
Yeah,
going back there.
yeah.
So let them know so we can let the public know.
Okay. Not at this particular time, but I'd like to have a discussion on.
Fit it in under employment, discipline, promotion, or suspension. Or information relating to current and future investigation, prosecution, of criminal offense. That's number 6. That is where you think you're headed with it. You can fit it under that exemption.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the level as well, but if that's the exception.
All right, we'll do it under number 6, information relating to current, future investigation, or prosecution of criminal offense.
All right, so we don't have a proper motion at the moment. We're gonna have to rewind this for a second. So where are we at, Councilman?
There's much thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so.
There's a vote to enter executive session, but for what reason? Usually we state the reason.
Under number 6. Mr. Supervisor,
Yep.
information relating to current, future investigation or prosecution of a criminal offense.
Okay. We got a proper motion then. Is there a second?
second by Vern.
Second.
All right, I'd like a roll call vote. Um,
Councilmember Barbara Pedowski,
Yes.
Councilmember Michael Jazinski.
Yes.
Councilmember Brian Pilarski,
Yes.
Councilmember Vernon Thompson,
Yes.
Supervisor Brian Noah.
I'm going to vote yes. All right, we're in executive session.
To speak on behalf of the proposed project for 3600 Harlem. And then Gavin Naples of Tunnel to Towers is also joining us virtually. The organization Tunnel to Towers is a nonprofit organization founded following the tragic events of December 11th in memory of Brooklyn firefighter Stephen Siller. This program provides aid to families of fallen first responders and veterans catastrophically injured. The project at 3600 Harlem is meant to provide residence for veterans that have had injury in this situation. The project's called Veterans Village. It's proposing a 3-story, 91-unit affordable housing for veterans with disabilities. At this time, they're seeking 9 variances with the project. And yeah, I will turn it over to Mark and not steal all your thunder. There is a presentation to go along with this. Kim, if you could pull that up at this time. And then myself, Mark, and Gavin will be here for questions afterwards.
Thanks. And as Mark approaches the podium, this is something that in discussions about development projects, when I was at community meetings and taxpayer groups, that they wanted to get introduced to these projects earlier in the process. So this is part of that effort. So floor is yours.
Great. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, the town board. Thank you for the time this evening. Dan, you did steal my thunder. That was my entire introduction. But I'm honored to represent this organization and the mission that they have. I don't get a lot of opportunities to do something that can have such a positive impact on a community like a project like this. So I'm very humbled and honored to be able to help this organization deliver much needed housing in Western New York in general. This isn't Cheektowaga thing. This is a Western New York issue. I can't possibly do any justice to the mission of Tunnels to Towers. So I'm going to turn over to Gavin from Tunnels to Towers to talk about the mission, what the programming is going to be at this particular facility, and then we can turn a little bit more into the site plan details where I'll take it from there. So Gavin, if you can still hear me, go ahead. It's your turn.
I can. Thank you very much, Mark, and thank you very much for taking the time and hearing this out. Mark, are you able to navigate through the presentation?
Yeah, they can follow. I don't have control over it, but they can hear you if you want to just tell them next slide, etc.
Okay, well, to the council, thank you very much again. My name is Gavin Naples. I'm the vice president of the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Our foundation began in the wake of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Firefighter Stephen Siller was an off-duty Brooklyn firefighter who heard that the South Tower had been hit on the morning of September 11th. He drove his car to the base of the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, which was closed to vehicular traffic. It connects Lower Brooklyn and Lower Manhattan. So he got out of his car, put 60 pounds of gear on his back, and ran nearly 5 miles through the underground tunnel into the South Tower, where he died saving others and was never recovered. From that sacrifice, his brothers and sisters got around a kitchen table and said that they needed to honor what he did for our country that day. And since that kitchen table, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation over the last 20 plus years has grown to nearly a $500 million a year organization that gives 95 cents of every single dollar away to our programs, one of the highest rated charities in the nation, the highest rating in Charity Navigator for transparency and accountability. And we have provided over 1,200 mortgage-free homes to catastrophically injured service members, the families of fallen first responders, police officers, firefighters, and EMT workers that are killed in the line of duty, as well as Gold Star families. So if you could go through if you could drop down to the presentation. Yeah, next slide. Thank you. So our newest program seeks to eradicate homelessness amongst veterans nationwide. There's over 35,000 veterans experiencing homelessness. So a tall order, to say the least, but we feel that no veteran should ever be left out on the streets, the ones that they were signed up to protect. So what we've done is developed a 2-prong model, and you could go back to the first prong. Thank you. We are acquiring hospitality properties and raw land throughout the nation in the largest metro areas where the rates of homelessness are highest. And we are completely renovating these properties into permanent supportive housing for veterans with 24/7 supportive services on site. So it's not enough to just provide a high quality affordable housing accommodation to a veteran that's struggling, you need to provide a platform of rehabilitation that encompasses case management, behavioral health, employment opportunities, entitlements assistance, and I'll go through all the different litany of services that are provided at each of our veterans villages later in the slide. But this has to be paired with this access to services to rehabilitate veterans and reintegrate them back into the community. That is our ultimate objective here. So we have many different projects in various stages of development and completion throughout the nation in these large metro areas for our veterans villages. And if you could go to the next slide. The second prong of our program outside of these large metro areas is our national case management network. And that is anywhere in the nation where a veteran or their family is struggling, they can call our foundation. We have an internal team of case managers and entitlements associates and intake coordinators, housing coordinators, employment coordinators that onboard these veterans and their families. And we provide them direct financial assistance to get them housed in their area, many times that same day. And then we work with over 1,000 different supportive service organizations nationwide to provide them that supportive service. So if there's a veteran with 3 children in a van in North Dakota or Louisiana or Arkansas, in a more rural place where we're not going to be effectuating a village just because the need is not as great, we didn't want a person's physical location to be a barrier to Tunnel to Towers helping them. So we're able to provide them housing and pay the cost to get them housed in 2, 3, 4, 5 bedroom apartments, houses, whatever the accommodation is suitable for that family size in North Dakota, in Arkansas, in Louisiana, in Buffalo, anywhere nationwide to remove that crisis element from these veterans' life, right? And then we have attorneys in North Dakota. We have employment opportunities in North Dakota. We have PTSD clinics and mental health clinics in North Dakota, legal advocacy, whatever it is that the veterans need so that we can help in real time. And if you can go to the next slide. Just last year, we provided over 3,000 veterans with housing assistance and supportive services, with over 1,000 children helped. This year, we're going to exceed that number by 5,000, and these numbers are going to grow exponentially as we grow out our national case management network, our veterans villages, and we strengthen our relationship with other organizations and the VA. If you can go to the next slide. Buffalo and Cheektowaga, obviously the second largest city in New York, and us being a New York foundation, we wanted to make a real impact in Western New York. So we located a building. It's 3600 Harlem. It's a former nursing home that's been vacant for quite some time now on nearly a 1.5 acre tract. And so what we're proposing, and Mark will go through that, is a complete demolition of this building. And if you can go to the next slide, we're going to be developing a 91 unit permanent housing complex for veterans. This is not a transitional program. This is not a shelter by any means. These are for veterans that are looking for a long-term permanent housing solution that obviously pairs the supportive services that we provide. This is 10 minutes away from the Buffalo Veterans Affairs Hospital, just about 4 miles away. And this will be completely staffed 24/7 by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. So if we go to the next slide.
Yeah, Gavin, let me jump in here a little.
Please.
Great. Thanks, Gavin. So Gavin did a great job in covering the mission and the purpose for the facility itself. The approvals that we're seeking from the town include site plan approval, and as Dan mentioned, up to 9 variances. While the number sounds big, the reality is they're related to 2 issues. One is the side setback on Mafalda, the way the building is sited, and in particular, trying to create a fire lane around as you're looking at the building, the right side of the building, just required us to slide the building to that side. That's the reason for the variance, the number of variance requests, the setback and green space variances on that particular side. The other variance is a parking variance, but really it's not as significant as it sounds. We're seeking a variance of 16 spaces. The reality is our facilities don't have a high demand for parking. And in this location, there's actually 13 spaces available right on the street immediately in front of the facility. So on Mafalda, there are 4, and then there's another 9 right on Harlem existing. So the net is we're effectively about 3 spaces short. So not something we expect any significant issues with. The site plan itself and the building itself are a vast improvement over the existing conditions, which I know you guys are all far too familiar with. It's been about 10 to 15 years that that building's been sitting vacant, and so this is a great opportunity to redevelop that site. There's going to be a lot more landscaping on the site than currently. There's effectively none. You have a lawn. That's about all there is on the site. And importantly, the kind of the way the building is being masked, it's masked closer to Harlem. That L or the T off of the existing building that starts to approach the neighbors at the rear, that's going to be eliminated. So the orientation to Harlem will be similar, but the orientation to the neighbors at the rear will be very different. So the point is, green up the site, soften the site, put in new fencing. And then as you saw with the renderings there, a much improved facade for the facility. So it's a 3-story facility. Thank you very much. So you got a great view of the elevation here and a feel for the building, both from a design standpoint and a landscaping standpoint. 3-story building, it's 1 story taller than what's there now, but within code, you don't need any height variances. And the unit breakdown within the facility is 2nd and 3rd floors are primarily residences. 1st floor is where you see the mixed uses of services that will provide. This is a great look at what the units look like. So when Gavin talks about the facility being a home, that's the point. So these are meant to be a place where veterans can bring some stability back to their lives. They have a kitchenette in there. They can operate from there as an apartment. It's effectively an apartment. These are the supportive service spaces that we spoke of. So this is what you see on the 1st floor. From you have counseling offices, you have recreational facilities, exercise facilities. They provide clothing options for the veterans. So really a full service series of facilities within the building itself. This is your supportive services breakdown on the 1st floor. There's a couple units that will be on the 1st floor, but most of the 1st floor is supportive services and not intended to be units. The orientation on the site as well, and here's screening and safety for the plan. So 24/7, as Gavin talked about, 24/7 security and presence with the facility, and it's intended to constantly monitor its perimeter. We don't expect problems. Gavin and his team do a great job of bringing folks in that aren't going to be those issues. And actually, Gavin, that'd be a good point to transition to you and talk about how you identify those individuals that come to the facility.
Yeah, Mark, thank you for that. And Gavin, it's good to see you again. Before you get into it, I appreciate this so far. If you can take maybe the next 3 to 5 minutes to wind this up, I want to open it up to any council member questions.
Absolutely. This is
Forgive me for rushing you.
Yeah, no, I picked it up from the slides. So go ahead, Gavin.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We spend a tremendous amount of time on the security and money, frankly, on the security of this, because the security of our residents and then obviously the surrounding public is of paramount importance. We screen out any veterans with any dishonorable discharge, any record of sexual-based offenses, any major crimes. They're precluded from our site. This is really for veterans that are looking to make a change in their life, and they have to meet us halfway, right? We have 24/7 CCTV surveillance covering every single inch of the site, 24/7 staff on site. We have perimeter fencing, aesthetically pleasing, controlled entrances and exits, safety zones, license plate scanners. So we know exactly who's in the building, who's not in the building, who's on the site, who's not on the site. This is not going to be, an issue for the surrounding community is the point. And if you go, as to the transportation, I spoke that we were, very close to the Buffalo VA, which is excellent for our veterans, but we also provide daily funded transportation for our veterans that are a little bit more elderly to and from grocery stores, banks, shops, employment opportunities, wherever they need to go.
Thanks, Gavin. I appreciate that. And we just, as it relates to the neighborhood, we're looking to do a neighborhood meeting probably the 2nd week of July. We'll be getting the notices out shortly. We'll let you guys know that, so you're more than welcome to attend. It's looking like it's probably going to be at Cleve Hill. That's where we anticipate holding that meeting to reach out to the neighbors. So I know our time's limited. Happy to answer any questions at the board.
All right, Councilman Pilarski, you're up first.
Great.
Thank you.
I had the privilege of meeting with Justin Holcomb when he was in town for this project before the planning board, and I'm excited about this project. the last slide that was up was funding, and we didn't go over that, but this is completely funded already. It's $15 million or 12 million, one of the two, but the money's there. They're ready, shovel in the ground, ready to go, not asking the town for a red cent, not asking the state for grant funding or waiting on anything or federal funds. They're not handcuffed to these grants and these restrictions or anything. So they could vet the veterans, so that there's mental health, but not, those with drug abuse, and substance abuse. This is a great program. They're all single apartments, so there's no families, so there's no kids, no extra burden being put on the school district across the street. In addition to that, they're going to partner with local vendors and partners here for the holistic approach that they're taking to the veteran, being, mental, spiritual, financial supports. They're going to look internally here locally within Cheektowaga and Buffalo area, and then branch out to national partners if need be. So groups like Compeer, Vet One Stop, stuff like that. I think it's a great service, a great program. I'm excited to see that building becomes something new and different, and it's something needed in this town. And I'm glad Cheektowaga was chosen, because if you listen to their resume where these other locations are, I mean, we're talking big cities. We're talking Houston, I believe, was one, and there's a couple others. And Cheektowaга's plucked and picked out of it, where they could have gone anywhere in New York State, and we'll be the first of it. So I'm excited about this and fully support it, and hope that the rest of the board does as well.
Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate it.
Between the presentation and Councilmember Pilarski's comments, I don't have anything to add. I don't have any questions.
Please.
Councilmember Jazinski.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for the amazing work you gentlemen do. I think it's about time somebody stood up for our veterans, the people who fight for our country. Myself and Councilmember Bukowski did the 3K run for the Tunnels of Tower. It was a great run. It was a great way to network with all the veterans and all the law enforcement, all the great people of the town. And I encourage everybody to come to the next Tunnels for Towers run.
Thank you very much. I know the town is a big supporter of that particular event. Every time we go to one of these meetings, folks mention their participation. So I know the organization appreciates it.
Anyone else?
Just a quick comment. Oh, sorry.
Councilmember Bukowski.
I'm familiar. I used to work at the VA. I'm a former veteran myself and familiar with Tunnel to Towers. And this is an awesome program and housing for them. Again, I'm like the idea of the security for them, as well as heightened security for the neighborhood, which was brought out. So that's very important. And I'm excited because there is a need, a strong need. I used to do some case management through the VA, so I'm familiar, and there is the need for this. So I'm excited about this program as well.
Yeah, we certainly, as an organization, have seen that. I know when folks have come in town, they can see the veterans on the streets, and it's real. It's right in front of us.
Right.
It needs to be dealt with.
And one more thing that I like is the fact that you're also pre-screening. If there's dishonorable discharge or kind of, any kind of a record. So that's good also.
Yeah, being a good neighbor is critical to this organization. Otherwise, they can't. If their mission is undermined by poor choices, that doesn't help them.
Councilmember Thompson, anything to add?
Not much, just back on that, I live right around the corner from there, so I'm very excited, as I'm sure the neighborhood is, to see this project come to life. And I remember, sitting around watching Gavin propose this to us in the planning board, so happy to see it come through. And it's nice to have that support for our veterans, and thank you for choosing this town as well. So
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, thank you for taking some
Thank you.
time to share this project with us this
Thank you very
evening.
much.
Yeah, we'll see you in the coming weeks. Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
Appreciate it.
Before we go any further, we have a need for an executive session to discuss pending litigation, matters leading to the termination of a particular person, and matters pertaining to the appointment and or removal of a particular corporation. Do I have a second in making a motion to enter? Second from Councilmember Pilarski. All in favor? Any opposed? We're back in executive session. All right, thank you. I'm going to make a motion to exit executive session. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second from Councilmember Pilarski. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're out of executive session. Bernie, the podium is yours. Thank you for your patience. So the other item of new business this evening is regarding the towing rates here in the town of Chickawaga. I sent the board an email linking to the last time they were changed, and that was in 2020. It's now 2024. In front of each of the board members, you're going to see proposed rates that go with the current compared to proposed changes. And what we're going to do here is just take a little bit of time to hear from Bernie about why he's advocating for changing tow rates. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, I got permission from the other towers in the town of Chickawaga to represent them. Basically, our industry's been hammered, as you know, since COVID. The price of equipment has gone nuts, insurance, fuel, a lot of stuff's doubled and tripled in cost. So we just did a 30% across the board increase to offset some of the expenses. I think it's fair and tough. And that's it. Really not much more to say. I think everybody understands what's going on with the economy.
Yeah. I appreciate you taking the time to be here and waiting it out for this long. Well, before I have any questions, I wanted to open it up to the rest of the board if they had any questions, comments, concerns on this. So, I'm looking at the rates and, some of the items are doubled, some of them are up 50%. It's, some of them are, I look closer to 20-25%. Can you talk a little bit about some of the specific rates, if there's a need, if there's a particular cost pressure in something like, let's say the records with the operators based on weight versus storage cost or administrative fees, like why some of them might have gone up more than others, or?
Or more of them are on the equipment side, like, we take a flatbed truck, a few years ago, they were 70, 80,000, now they're 140. You know what I mean? We've been trying to give increases, the raises to our people to keep them, trying to keep up with the cost of inflation. It's hard to pinpoint it. Our industry is very unique in a lot of ways because there is no way to really analyze it because it's 24/7. And our guys go from being paid hourly. Most of the industries like that, they're paid hourly during the day, the commissions at night. Weather is a factor and different accidents and different things that happen. So you really can't rock solid analyze the cost of our industry. It's very hard to do. It's not like a machine shop where you open 40 hours and they might have overtime. They got certain costs of the machines. Some of these trucks are just getting very expensive. And the insurance is just going nuts, and we're talking another 20% this year. So I think that we tweak this in a very fair and effective manner. And I think it's fair to the general public. And most of these costs are absorbed by the automobile manufacturers, because the cars are under warranty, they get towed in. Insurance companies are paying the bill because very few are out of pocket. The ones that are out of pocket are usually people that are not on a good side of the law or arrested for different various things. And is that, but most of it, I say 90% of it's always covered by your AAA. It reimburses people and Geico's and all that kind of stuff too, plus your insurances.
Okay, so with that, anything else from any of the council members? All right, I believe you're all set. We have these here, in terms of follow-up. The board will look this over. We'll have a bit of a discussion amongst ourselves on this, and we'll get back to you.
I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
With that said, we're moving on to some old business items. With the historic preservation ordinance, we're still looking for a time to get a meeting together. I spoke with the town historian and I spoke with the town attorney, both of which were available this Friday evening at 5 p.m. Councilmember Jazinski, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but would you have availability this Friday evenings to join in a meeting on that?
What's the meeting for?
We're going to be looking over the draft historic preservation ordinance. It'll be-
Friday, it's kind of, we're less than 48 hours away. It's kind of short notice. Just trying to think. And then following week's what, the holiday week?
Yeah, so if not, if you're not available, I was thinking what we can do.
I
is-
mean, we might be able to propose the following Friday, because I probably could make myself available, be it that, it's the holiday, you know, falls on Thursday, the following Friday, it's gonna probably be a late day, so. I would propose that, but I'm not definitive on an exact time, so
Yeah.
maybe see what's good.
Let's, okay, well, I'll get Friday's date in the email, and then we'll see if there's any dates next week. And if for some reason,
July
uh,
5th, right? July 5th,
yeah, I believe so.
day after the 4th.
Yeah, because the 3rd is Wednesday, so. And if we can't get that to work, if we're having a hard time next week, I think what we should do is just hold a session to look over that, get it in front of you, because that way myself, the historian, and the attorney can redline or go through the redlining, adjust some of that stuff, get it in front of you, and then once we're in agreement on what we're gonna propose to the rest of the board, we're all set.
Sure.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right, great. Draft EMS study. We received notice today that the study itself is finished, but the company's is working on adding a few appendixes and some statistical data to that. So what I'm told from the emergency manager is we should have that with the appendixes at the end of the week. They're getting closer to finalizing the draft. And that pretty much settles that for the moment. In terms of cannabis zoning laws, we haven't made any movement on that in the last 2 weeks. We do have shops applying to open up in town. I know of the big questions before us were how we want to adjust the hours, and there were some other details related to that. So I'm still awaiting town board input. If you want me to send an email to revive that discussion or reply to the chain, I'd be happy to do so, but if we're gonna change these hours, I think we gotta put this one to bed sooner rather than later before we get more applicants. We have one shop open now.
I had responded, I believe.
You did, yeah.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Is it possible to bring a new attorney, Tom Bauer, up to speed on that and include him in our discussion?
Absolutely. Attorney Fowler, did you have an opportunity to look that one over?
I have been through it. I'm not prepared to give you a recommendation.
I meant,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
totally understood. Thanks for looking it over. We'll get there.
Setting the meeting, county influence.
thank you.
Okay, that gets us to town board resolutions. So we have got just starting out, a resolution for appointment of Detective Jeffrey Filipski. Any questions on that? From the table, we have 2 items. An agreement for shared services with Erie County Highways. Are there any questions from council members? Regarding this, I'd like to propose a second resolve that says we're gonna agree to this for the term of 1 year. I know, talking with both council members, Kaminsky and Bukowski, about it, there were some reservations and some concerns about particular clauses. I'd say if we give this a time period and a trial run, so to speak.
So instead of 1 year, can we have it expire at the end of this year and then make it just part of our annual January package? So when we're renewing contracts and agreements with others?
What would you think about the last day of January 2025? Give it, so that way we can get to the reorg event.
Correct, that's what I'm saying, kind of work it through,
Sure.
kind of
Instead
tie
of,
it in with reorg time and that area.
okay, instead of the end of July, I'd say we put a date of resolve this agreement. Well, our participation in this agreement will be valid through,
And then we just gotta.
January
yeah,
31st,
vote on it
2025.
again, or, just be done with it.
and how does the rest of the board feel about that amendment and taking that to a vote?
For a term, sure.
Yeah.
For a trial
A
run.
6-month trial on it.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. I will get that language to the clerk following the resolutions. We have a resolution for Masiello Martucci and Associates lobbying services on behalf of the town. Any questions there? All right, going on to consent agenda items. We've got the warrant. Questions, comments, concerns? Resolution 2 is the agreement with Johnson Controls. Number 3 is award of curbside recycling and processing. Any questions? Okay, please stop me if I'm moving too quick. 4 is local law for Chapter 52 ambulance services. 5 is local law 7 about taxation in town of Cheektowaga. Resolution, or that's not resolution 5. Resolution 6 is LTEC grant acceptance. Resolution 7, purchase computer equipment for town hall. 8 is a supervisor to execute grant agreement between National Council on Aging. We got an email from Carrie Peak on that. 9 is reliability claims administrator. Any questions? 10 is the purchase of various insurances. 11 is the SRO agreement with Maryville School District.
Can we go back 1 second to 351, please?
351, okay.
I know yourself and Barb, Kowski are on that. I just want to maybe get some more information about that. Speak to that.
I can, Brian Kraus can speak to it more, but long story short, this was shopped around and Travelers Insurance came in, through Lolly Insurance is the best price. In 2023, we spent $420,000 on this package. So it's going up $18,205 for this year. Back in 22 it was $372,000 to give you an idea, closer to 373. Okay, and the coverages were roughly the same, but I'll let Brian Kraus answer that.
Yeah, I mean, basically, Lolly has historically shopped this around. Travelers was our carrier probably 3-4 years ago. HCC, which was our carrier that's expiring currently, they had come in with a competitive bid, 2 or 3 years ago. This year, the word was in the market that HCC was going to be raising their rates significantly. Their renewal, coming off of what their 23 to 24 rate, which was 415,000 and change, their renewal price was $668,000. So there's a 61% increase that they wanted to give us. That's why Lolly went out. Travelers came in at a 5.5% increase, which was a little bit more palatable, obviously. They did go to Liberty Mutual, Trident, Hanover, and Chubb. Those 4 had declined a quote. So, in the process of this whole thing and for the past number of years, the Lolly coordinated it where we used to do the excess coverage separately, and they felt it would be more advantageous to do the whole excess coverage along with, we do an umbrella policy, commercial auto physical damage, and other property. So this whole thing, becomes a little bit more palatable for a company to bid on. So it's been what we would consider successful in that process. So, that Lolly with their efforts, benefited us to have only a 5% increase. This award right here.
Any other questions? Should I kind of help? Bill?
Yeah.
Okay, great. We were leaving resolution 12 when we went back. So 13 is town clerk IPS annual software maintenance. 14, TCA successor agreement. 15, reduction of budget for 25. 16, sick leave donation. 17 is authorized supervisor to execute MOU with Bright Path Maryville. 18 is authorized town planner to attend committee for airport master plan update. 19, we have appointment of clerk to town justice. 20 is transfer of laborer from highway to facilities. 21 is appointment of code enforcement officer. 22 is appointment of assistant code enforcement officer. 23 is appointment of electrician. 24 is appointment of records inventory clerk. 25, appointment of senior clerk. All right, we're all right here. 26, appointment of building and zoning clerk. 27 is appointment of clerk typist. 28 is hiring, termination, transfer of part-time and seasonal employees. 29 is youth and rec hiring. 30 is youth and recreation hiring non-residents. 31, youth and rec terminums. 32, special event, quality of life improvement center, carnival fundraiser. And 33, special event, Roswell Park early detection driven to you event. That gets us to some suspension of rule items. Number 1 is agreement with Catholic Health System for physician medical director. Any questions, comments, concerns on that item? 2 is termination of laborer. 3 is waiver of 2024 field fees for 501c3 youth sports. Any questions on that? This is a follow-up from last meeting and Councilmember Pilarski's desire to introduce an item to address the issue we were discussing. So thank you for getting this filed. Resolution 4, appointment of motor equipment operator B. 5, appointment of laborer. 6 is an award of bid. Equipment operators for public works projects. Any questions? 7, award of bid for concrete installation. And resolution 8, authorize town of Chickawawa chief of police to conduct internal investigation. Anything there? All right, with that,
We got number 9.
with number 9, oh, yes, yeah. Yeah, I didn't even have that one printed on my list here, so. Number 9 is an appointment of
Working for
working crew chief to sanitation, so. Any question on number 9? All right, with that, I'm gonna make a motion to end the work session. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right,